sell the land center, move your entire family to another continent that your wife thought she would never want to go to.
It's like, whoa, this happened. I just moved my kids and my wife all the way back to America. This material stuff's all gonna fade away. It's not gonna last. We can boast in all this accomplishments that we've done, but ultimately, what have we done with God? What we have done with His Word, with His Son? People would be like, gaming's of the devil. I'm like, look at what it's bringing in.
Yeah, look at all the people, man. Where's the land center? Like, what happened? Like, what then brings you to abandon all of that? What probably was your dream come true? You have an incredible purpose to make a difference in this world. A purpose must be discovered and character must be developed, because great leaders aren't born, they're built. So get ready, gamers. It's time to level up. This is the Level Up Podcast. Well, what is up, gamers? And welcome to episode 4 of the Level Up Podcast. Weekly content devoted to helping gamers level up in their life, faith, and leadership. My name is Pastor Souzy, and friends, it's good to be with y'all again. If y'all are watching live on the live streams, go ahead and spam some hype emotes in the chat. But a special shout out to all those who are listening via audio on all of our podcast platforms. Sincerely, friends, thank you for those of you that have been getting value and you've been sharing, liking, subscribing. I want to encourage you, keep on doing it. That's how we're going to get these messages out to more people so we can help more gamers level up and so we can continue to make an impact in the gaming community. Remember, the whole purpose of this podcast is the more that we grow, the more that we level up, the more that together we make an impact in the gaming community, but not just by one streamer, by one content creator, but by all of us together, choose to become people of influence that go out and impact the world. And today, friends, we've got a special one in store for all of you. Today, friends, we are going to be talking with the legend himself, AJ Valdez, the man himself, talking about how he used to own his actual own land center, hearing about his journey from America to Ireland and then unexpectedly back to America, and the lessons that he learned about the topic of this video on how you and I can learn how to continue to trust God even when life doesn't go according to plan. Now, hey, before we bring Pastor AJ on, I got a disclaimer for those of you that are listening by the way of audio. We're going to do our best to keep you guys up to date on what's happening on the screen in this one, but there are going to be some pictures being shown about the land center and a part of AJ's story. So I want to encourage you right now, unless you really want to listen via audio, I want to encourage you to come over to the YouTube channel for this one specifically, so you see those pictures. But if you can't, don't worry. I'm going to be verbally explaining what's happening on screen. So if you're listening via podcast audio, you will be able to follow along just fine. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, bringing the man on screen right now, legendary AJ Valdez. AJ, how you feeling, brother?
Let's go.
AJ,
praise the Lord. Feeling good.
It's good to have you, my man. Episode 4. You pumped to be here, brother?
Yeah, I'm honored. Honestly, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I count it a privilege to be here and to be with all the lovely people that are in chat, also that are listening later on.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's an honor and privilege to be here.
If you don't know AJ Valdez, the man is an absolute legend, okay? He streams once in a while because he has 74 jobs and 97 responsibilities, but when you catch his streams live, they will just put a smile on your face. This man exudes love, joy, and AJ, I'm better as a person because you're my friend and I love you, brother. And I always want to bring people on this podcast who will influence the listeners. So again, we can go out and make a difference in the gaming community. But AJ, for those who don't know you, brother, tell us a little bit about you, maybe a little about your family, some of your favorite games. Who is the legend AJ Valdez, brother?
Well, if you don't know about me, I am named AJ Valdez. My real name. I'm not using a fake name here, but real name. My family hails from Los Angeles, California. That's where I was born, and I spent a bit of my life there until one day I went to Ireland, but I'll share more about that. But yeah, my family's from California. My dad and mom, I don't know if you want me to share about them, but they were living my dad was in gangs and stuff, and God just stepped in and turned his life around. And my mom got saved first, then my dad got saved, and it affected our whole family.
Yeah.
And then I grew up in the church, and it's been a journey. It's been a journey. I don't know if you want me to go deep into everything, but
tell us.
I can.
We'll start with the small stuff quick. Tell us about maybe your intermediate family. You got any kids? Are you married, AJ?
Oh yeah. Also me myself. Yeah. Married now. It's my beautiful wife Donna.
Hey.
We got married at 22. We've been married. It's going on. It's 18 years now.
Let's go, dude. Let's go, man.
18 years. I'll get a phone call. Let me dismiss that.
Not today.
Not today. I've been married 18 years now, and two beautiful kids, Isabel and Sienna. Next year, my oldest should be graduating from high school, going to college. So I don't know. it went by in a blink of an eye, just so fast. So yeah, really blessed though. Just my family and my wife. I met my wife when I went to Ireland about 13. When I was about 13, started dating when I was 18, got married when I was 22. So
Hey.
yeah, God can make anything happen.
Come on now. Come on now. Now, AJ, the man behind the Valdez, he is multifaceted, pastor, graphic designer, video editor, website maker, used to be a business owner, used to be a land center owner. We're going to talk about it. But he's also a gamer, my friends. This is a gaming podcast, right? We only let gamers on this podcast. But maybe we'll make an exception every now and then, but not today. Okay? AJ, what's one of your favorite video games of all time, brother?
Well, World of Warcraft. I've been playing that since I guess the end of vanilla, like just before TBC. I started playing, and I've been playing it 20 years. Absolutely love the game. Once I started playing, I played other games. I guess one of my biggest influence, Metal Gear Solid. I used to love that game when it came out on PlayStation 1, and then Sons of Liberty, all the Metal Gear fans out there. But my real big game as well, like that's what got me hooked, like on gaming.
Yeah,
that's where I
dude.
spent 3 days straight playing that game. Like some days, a week's not even sleeping, playing WoW, and yeah, just sweaty. I was like 19, just had finished school. I just loved WoW. I couldn't believe there was a world like that in gaming.
Oh, it's the
You
best.
just explore and just so big, and just everything they put in it. I was like, how did they make this game? Just that was back then, but now to us, it's the norm, right, to this generation.
Yeah,
but back in my day,
it was ahead of its time, brother.
Ahead of its time, yeah. I couldn't believe the open world, just everything about it, like the crafting, I love crafting in it. I still craft to this day. That's how I make a lot of my gold. But it was just another level. So I really got into that. I got like a friend of mine from school actually introduced me to it. Ever since then I've been playing it. Like I've been on and off some 20 years, on and off. But it's one game that I always go back to and always get stuck into.
Me too. It is also my favorite game of all time. And one of the things me and AJ share in common, for those listening via audio, I have a shirt that says Paladin, because Pastor AJ and I both play Paladin. I play tank. Yeah. He plays Holy, and Paladins for life. Now, I think the people are wondering a few questions about WoW, AJ. Horde or Alliance, brother? Which one are you?
I'm Horde. I did start Alliance though. I won't lie. I had my first character was a gnome warrior, and he was an Alliance. But then once TBC came out and the Blood Elves, I know a lot of people. The Blood Elves. It was done. I went Horde and for the Horde and for the Lord, and I'm still
for the Horde and for the Lord, man. That's so good, man. AJ, share with the people what's maybe one of your, and don't worry, stick around. We're gonna get to the good juicy meat of the episode, but what's one of your favorite World of Warcraft achievements you've ever gotten, brother?
Yeah, well, in TBC, I got Gladiator Season 2.
That's sweaty,
Merciless. Bro. Yeah. A friend, so the friend I was talking about that got me into it. We went like him and his brother. We went hard into the paint, and we were just playing like nonstop. And that's when I really like TBC was when I was sweaty in the game. I was like, it was actually embarrassing too. So
no, dude.
Dude. We spent on the game. I look back like, man, we were just hours upon hours. Oh yeah, I was addicted. I had to really like check myself. But I was addicted. That's when that was for me. That was the best, like years of gaming too, because I didn't have many responsibilities.
Yeah, we're young. We had nothing but time, brother.
Yeah, nothing but time. So. It all changed though once you have kids.
That's great. Yeah, I have. For those that don't know, PvP is actually my favorite part of World of Warcraft, even though I never do it. And I've always wanted to get Gladiator, and I never have, and I probably never will because of the time commitment it takes. But I live vicariously through AJ Valdez on this mysterious European account he used to have that doesn't have anymore. Yeah. And we're still wondering if it's a myth or it's real. But I digress. I digress. I
still have the account. It's a joke that goes on right back. Tells me too. I have my EU account, but it's a whole long story. I don't want to get into that one.
But AJ, we could talk about WoW all day long, and I know we've had some cool experiences. AJ actually and we did a TBC LAN center event one time in my house. Flew a few people from the country, flew into our house. We had a Burning Crusade LAN center event, and I think for both of us, AJ, it's probably one of our favorite World of Warcraft moments, literally of all time.
Yeah,
it was
that of all time,
the best
for me, of all time,
the best.
I've always looked for that. I had even though I had friends that played, I always looked for the community especially when I found your stream, back in the day, and I always look for the community, and especially to do something like that. I've never experienced it like that. The whole week we were just gaming, just able to chill and
Yeah,
just
man.
unplug and just get stuck in, and just the fellowship, the time we had together. I remember Pap talking about his bucket, and it was just a good time.
It
And
was,
how
man.
even after the stream, we hung out. We watched No Hit Jerome. We watched No Hit Jerome from your pool with the big
Yeah.
with the big screen, and like you had the screen up, the projector. And we're there at the pool watching more. Wow, it was just
It
what a
was
week that was.
such
Yeah.
an experience, man. And honestly, that's a lot of what we're going to talk about today. Not that experience, but really just the Land Center experience. If you guys have been listening to my content for even a short period of time, you've probably heard me say the word Land Center so many times, because I think the deep connection that happens when you get to sit next to someone across the table and play a game together is such an opportunity for relationship, for ministry, for bonding. Love Discord. I love being an online community, but I think most people would agree, if we could all sit in the same room once in a while, play a game, it would just be a dream come true. And that's what me, AJ, and a few others did for almost an entire week, and it was a dream come true. So we're going to get to that. Make sure you stick around. But really the topic, AJ, today, as we take more of a serious approach for the rest of this conversation, is really the concept of like, man, life doesn't always go according to plan. It just doesn't. And oftentimes it can go opposite of your plans. Maybe some of you listening right now can really relate that, man, you plan and you plan and you plan, you have these hopes and dreams, but what do you do when it doesn't work? What do you do when everything you've worked hard for, either it fails or it changes, or you have to shut it down? How do we continue to trust God even when life doesn't go according to plan? And that's a big part of AJ's story that I've always been inspired by, seeing how many pivots in life you've had to take, some of them unexpected, and you just continue to have this faith and this perseverance that continues to trust God. And I think so many people are just wondering how. And so what I want to do, AJ, today is I want to pull back the curtain a little bit on your life, take you through a little bit of your journey that has led you to where you are today and how you've learned to trust God along the way. And so take us back real quick, almost even before you were born. I know you mentioned earlier about like your dad being in a gang. So like, let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how do we go from your father being a gang member to now you guys faithfully following Jesus to where you are today? Like, what was that journey, and how did you yourself become a follower of Jesus?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll give you background. So from Los Angeles, California, my parents both were actually involved in gangs and addicted to drugs. Now this was before I was born, but when I was born, my mom gave her life to the Lord. She got saved. My dad was still like just messed up, and there's stories of my mom. Like I know you shared last week with Mother's Day, and of my dad waking up and my mom praying over him. My mom was a prayer warrior, and she was just praying.
Yeah,
Like
man.
he's like, what are you doing? Because he didn't know, and she was just praying over him and really believing, like for his salvation. It took a couple years. I think like 2 years before my dad actually decided to give his life to the Lord. But my mom prayed and prayed because he was into all kinds of madness and violence and drugs and stuff. Really was messed up, was lost. And I hear his testimony. I can't. It's funny because I can't imagine my dad like that. Even going back to the neighborhood, we'd go
It's
back there
true.
and meet other people that know him. They tell me all these stories about your dad. He did this, and I'm like, I just can't imagine because I grew up with my dad being a Christian, being saved,
Yeah.
being a minister.
You never got to see it.
I never got to see it, but I hear all the stories, and I just trip out like no way. But yeah, God just turned our family's life around, and I remember just being young, and my parents, they were like, maybe one day we'll go overseas. They would hear a lot of preachings about maybe one day you're gonna be missionaries in different countries, and I remember my mom shared it just last week about it. My dad was they were in a service, and somebody said that maybe you're gonna go overseas. Some of you, they said, are seeing oceans right now, and my mom saw an ocean. My mom saw the sea, and my dad looked at her and said, You're not seeing no sea right now." That's what he told her. You're not seeing no sea right now because the pastor said is so. But it took a little while. But eventually, my dad. I remember 1997. That's when we moved to Ireland, and we were at a conference, and they came to my dad. And at the time, we were in South Central Los Angeles. If you guys probably know Compton, straight out of Compton.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
where we were living at. It's a notorious area, really bad. And my dad was running a church there with another pastor named Mark Garcia, and my dad just felt the call to go overseas. And the year before, they had went like all over. They went to Switzerland. They thought maybe we'd go there. They went to Italy. They went to just all different European countries. They traveled all over just to see where God, was leading us.
Yeah.
But at that conference, they asked my dad. They said, "You want to go to Ireland?" And my dad's like, "Yeah." And I remember within 2 weeks, no lie, within 2 weeks after that conference, my dad sold everything we had. People come to the church and they were just taking stuff because we were just ready to go. They bought our tickets to go take over a church that had been there. They had a few members and fly out to Ireland. And I remember 2 weeks after that conference, we sold everything.
Man.
And the funny story about that too, we get there, we actually used to have to stop in London Heathrow, and we get stopped there by customs.
Okay.
They want to strip search us. They're like, "What are you coming over here for?" And my dad's like, "Look, we're coming to see. You know, we're only on 3-month visa. We're coming to see." But the plan was to be missionaries there and stuff. And he told them we'll be missionaries, and they didn't want to let us through. And the guy's like, "No, I'm not letting you guys through." And we were sitting there, and they had us these forms to strip search us at the airport. We're like, I'm crying. I'm only 11 years old, 12 years old. I'm crying.
Like traumatizing for a kid.
Yeah. And like, we never even been that far. I mean, the farthest we ever been was Seattle, Washington. I told you we had lived a year there. My dad helped pioneer church for a year there, but my sister didn't like it. So we ended up moving back to LA. But anyways, I had never traveled that far anywhere, like 12 hours on a plane, you know, you're jet lag, you're in a foreign country. And anyways, they stop us. They're not coming through. And the guy gets off his shift. Another guy comes on and says, "Why did he stop you?" And my dad's like, "I don't know why." My dad was actually getting upset with the guy. My dad's like, "I don't know why." And the guy said, "You know what?" He stamped our things, and then we got through to Ireland. He's like, "You know what? Go on through." So that's the Lord. The Lord just, kept on opening doors for us. But the culture shock of getting there, if you've ever been overseas, to go overseas and visit somewhere is one thing, but to actually go overseas and say, "This is it, you're living here."
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, it's a whole nother thing. And I remember getting there. Me and my sister were crying. We went to a place called Tala. It's like it's a notorious area too. It's like a mini Compton.
Oh wow!
It's a real bad area. So we went. That's the church that we grew up in. Was like we ran recovery homes. We worked with inner city, and that's like my dad's background. My dad's background, ex-drug addict, gang member, had even went to prison for stuff that he did.
Sure.
And we God turned it all around, and that's the people that we then reached. That we would go into inner cities and reach and basically open our homes and bring people in off the streets to live in a men's recovery home. Wow. And so that's what we went to Ireland for. So the culture shock of it, I remember telling my dad, I'm crying. I'm like, I want to go back home. I want to go back to LA. And I'll never forget, because he says, "Son and daughter, my sister, she's a bit older than me, this is your home now." And it's just like, the reality of that setting in, and it was just totally different. But we just did it. And we've always been that, like, my dad's always been like, wherever God calls us to, we want to step into. And we were 22 years over there in Ireland.
My goodness, bro, 22 years.
Missionaries. Usually missionaries only go for like 5-10 years. But 20, I never thought I'd come back.
And dude, that kind of takes us to the conversation we're going, because I can imagine you are 11 years old, child, and you do not expect to literally leave the continent in which you grew up in and move to an entirely new, different land. And again, like right there, like, this was not my plan. Now, obviously, as an 11-year-old, you don't get to make many plans because you're in your parents' house. But then now you're in Ireland for 22 years, and you're an adult. You said earlier you went over there. That's where you met your wife. You get married. That's where you start having children. That's where you're starting your life. And kind of like you mentioned, you're like, yo, this is our plan. Like, we're gonna stay here. We're gonna do life here. And then what we're gonna come back to later in this episode is like, then God just throws a wrench in all that, and things change for you, kind of getting to where you are today. But again, we're gonna walk through the story together. But what I want to talk through a little bit, AJ, and I think what a lot of our listeners want to hear about today, is like, while you were in Ireland, this man starts his own business that started off really as a printing shop, and then actually ended up becoming like a full-blown land center. Now, I got to give some context to this, okay? Because I've known AJ for years, and I knew AJ owned a print shop. Like, I knew he had this print shop, and like you could probably see in the stuff behind him, he still does this till this day. Like, he does graphic design, he makes websites, he prints shirts, he does flyers. Like, anything you need, he can probably make, and he can literally do in his house. But he had a shop in Ireland, and I knew this. And then it wasn't until years later, AJ, until I already knew you, that I knew what this print shop really was like. And brother, like, it was no print shop, brother. Like, sometimes I'm like, yo, this man was like the mafia with like a secret business in the back, but like the front business is what it was all about. This man had a full-blown land center. He did his printing in the back, but in the front, and you're going to see pictures on screen. And again, for those who see the audio, we're going to go and describe. But this man literally had a LAN center, and I didn't know it. So what I'm going to do right now is show on screen, and what you're looking at here, this is the front of his shop. This is in Ireland. We're going to let AJ kind of walk us through the story, and obviously nothing's in there. This is just an empty, there's no sign. And AJ, I mean, I want you to just walk us through, and I'm going to be showing some pictures on screen. Man, like, how did this even begin? Like, how did you get the idea to have a print shop that had a LAN center in the front? Like, walk us through that journey, because I find it so fascinating, bro.
Yeah. So the journey actually it all goes back to church. When I started designing for other churches.
Yeah.
And I seen a need. Like you always look at the need. You know, what could I do? How could I use my gift, Lord, to honor you, to help build your kingdom? And so that's when I actually started printing for other churches. I actually started out with a little cutter. I started doing T-shirts just like this.
Yeah.
For churches, and it just started to grow and grow and grow, and then got in to give me a bigger printer, even that one. I had that one. I had like over $150,000 $200,000 worth of equipment.
Wow.
200,000 worth of equipment, printing equipment, Xerox machine, wide format printer, laminator, guillotines, embroidery machines. Like God did all this. I'm just this little Mexican Irish kid from South Central Los Angeles. They told my parents, that kid can have learning disabilities, dyslexia. It's hard to read stuff at times. All messed up, right? ADHD. You can't pay attention for long. I was terrible in school. I'll be honest. I barely graduated.
Yeah,
by the skin of my teeth.
Me too,
barely made it out, right? It was so hard to focus. But from just honoring God with my gift, God began to add all these things onto me. And I remember being in the church. We had this big building. I think I was showing the pastor earlier how much like the rent was on it. And what ended up happening was I ended up losing I was a licensed minister. I got licensed at the age of 22. That's all I ever wanted to do was preach God's word and share the gospel, you know, with the world. That's all I want to do. That's why we went to Ireland. That's why that's everything. I want to honor you, Lord.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was with our church, things happened, leadership split, and we couldn't afford the building no more. And the first one to say, I knew they could no longer afford to pay me anymore. I was like, look at Dad, I'll step down. I'll still do my duties, you know, what I can, but I got to start making money, provide for my family. At the time, I have Donna and the kids, and that was a big that for me. That was big because that's all I ever wanted to do, right? Ministry. But then God gave me this gift too that I can provide for my family and also help the ministry. And at the time, the church then couldn't afford to pay me anymore because they were downsizing. They were going from a big building that was two units, I forget how many square feet, to smaller. And so God began to put on my heart, you can do this printing business, and that's why I started to grow the business, and I started growing clientele. And I said, I should have a shop. When I got the shop, I was thinking, man, like how can I make this good? So I the computers, the PCs and the Xboxes. I went to a friend of mine. He owned a guy that I knew from the area that opened a gaming shop. It's like GameStop, but it was called Player One. Okay. I went to him. I said, like, I need 10 Xboxes. and so he's like, I said, give me the best deal you give me. He's like, I can give you a better deal on the games, but not on the Xboxes. And so I bought 10 Xboxes off him. Got monitors at a really good price. Those are all PC monitors. They have no speakers on them. You've seen the pictures there. Oh yeah, I began to buy stuff too, Magic the Gathering cards and all that. I began to buy all that stuff. But that was like later on as we began to build the shop out.
Yeah.
And then the printing was still going. I was still doing the graphic design while I sat there. And people would come in, they would use the computers. We would do tournaments on the weekends. And I started getting more figurines and stuff. We got pop figures. I got this is the printing right here. I would print wraps for tables and stuff, or and pictures. But I just God gave me a love for gaming at a young age. It was something that especially moving to a different country.
Yeah.
And not knowing many people, I started gaming, right? I got a I got a PlayStation 1, and that's when it all started. Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, all those old games. That's when it all started. And then I just got once I experienced MMO, that was it. And then I started gaming. I bought it had like 6 Dell PCs, and then I built a custom one. But that was the shop right there. You can see like the Xerox way in the corner. We sold like snacks and stuff. So yeah, it was good. It would be packed out. Look at all the people that come in. We do FIFA tournaments. FIFA's a big game over there. It's like Madden, I guess, over here. So it's a big game over there. So yeah, we do that. But that's how uh, gaming. I loved it. And so even before this, I did LAN events at the church and stuff. And people would be like, "Gaming's of the devil." I'm like, "Look at what it's bringing in.
Yeah, look at all the people, man.
In. And then I was showing Pastor Souzy stream too. I was like, "How could this be of the devil when there's people life getting changed?" Yeah, those were late nights right there. A couple people in the those were all nighters we would do in the cafe.
League Up all night gaming, baby.
All night gaming, yeah, from guys in the area. Yeah, so that's what we do. League. I wasn't good at League though. I get beat all the time, and I won't play League anymore after Irish had that experience. He got all mad at me. I'm not good at the game. I told him. I told Irish I wasn't good at the game. Anyway.
Oh, that's hilarious, man. And so AJ, for all of us listening right now, most of us right now are gamers, but how did you even get the idea? Like I'm showing a picture on screen right now of like some of the printing that he would do in the back of the shop. But then like, what made you have the idea of like, hey, this is a printing shop, but let me just like quickly just throw together a LAN center in the front of it. Like, cause those two, like, they don't belong together, right?
They don't go together. Yeah, they don't. But those are the two things that I like. And I'm like, how can I merge these two things together? how could I bring gaming or printing together, you know? And I just did it.
That's so crazy,
you know,
man.
I thought I was crazy and stuff. They were like, "What is this place?" If you would come in, like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Well, you can use the internet, like internet cafe, gaming. And we also do printing and stuff." So people would come in, and it's funny. A lot of the people that come in, like their children come in.
Yeah.
I would print for their parents, like business cards. Like one of them, two of the twins. There's two twins that were in the area. My sister still lives in that area. There's two twins that would come in, and they actually gave their lives to the Lord. They actually came to church from coming to the cafe, and they gave their lives to the Lord. Their mom was a therapist, and she got her business cards printed off. So it was like the Lord just was able to bring the two worlds together. I know it doesn't make sense, crazy, right?
I'm curious, even just from the business perspective, when obviously you started as a print shop, but then you started merging the LAN center into it. From a business perspective, even from like a sales standpoint, what did the business merge into? Even from like, how much of your business was actually printing versus how much was like the LAN center and people coming into play and then selling the Magic the Gathering cards? Like, what was it half and half? Yeah. Like, where did the revenue even come from?
The revenue was majority of the print because those were big. Like, I had big contracts. Basically the LAN center, it would run itself. Like it was enough to cover the rent and the utilities.
Okay.
From what I got from the LAN center, but it wasn't like, you know, huge money compared to the print, because I think I shared with you, I print big murals. I would wrap whole rooms. I don't know. I ever show you those pictures?
You did.
Like I do.
Show me the bus you wrapped.
Yeah, double-decker buses, and those were like the revenue from that was way more than I could ever make on the LAN center. But the LAN center was, because I'm always wanting to reach. I want to reach people.
Yeah.
And I want to bring people in, and like, so that's why I was there, and I was able to talk to the youngsters that were going through stuff, and a lot of them came to church. They ended up coming to the church, even though it was far away, all the way in Dublin, because this is in Kildare. This is the next county over. It's not really far in terms of Ireland. It's far. It's 30 minutes right from the city.
It's like an eternity away, AJ.
But in Ireland, that's far. In Ireland, my sister would tell you, I see her. It's far in Ireland. Like I would dread to drive 30 minutes. I come to California now. 30 minutes doesn't even get you to the store over here. You know, it's a whole different world. But they would come. They would come to the church, and a lot of them, you know, just from being gaming with us. And so yeah, God really used. That's why I was thinking, like, how could I still reach and do what I love to do? I love printing. I love graphic design. But I love the gaming and the fellowship part of it, and having like-minded gamers that I can, you know, that know the lingo, know how to talk to each other. So it was just great.
Dude, gaming is just such a medium to connect people, man. Like, whether it's like in this situation where you're using it mostly to connect with the youth, but even just like the average age of a hardcore gamer being 33, 34 years old, around our age, and it's just such a medium to connect people, bro. And I love talking LAN center, especially when it's mixed with ministry, because that is like my life goal, man. To just one day own a community center that is just reaching people, bringing people together, like as a place to really just like, this is what Jesus did. He just sat across the table with people, spent time with them. I think video gaming is like just an incredible way to do that. And we're gonna come back to eventually what ended up happening with that LAN center, but a little bit more that I want to pull out of AJ. First of all, I've got a picture on screen for those that are listening via audio. You are seeing the before of his LAN center. This is literally just like basically a concrete slab. The floor is just dust and dirt. And AJ, like, it's so inspiring for me to see what you did, brother, to take this empty nothing space. Like it for me, it's like it's the big dreams of like, you know, they started in the garage and they had nothing, and then to see what you turn it into. What was that journey like of like creating this space from nothing?
From nothing, yeah. I like my budget. I was like, I had like $10,000. I really that I had, but I needed way more.
Yeah, that won't get you very far, brother.
Yeah. And so little by little, like the electrician that helped me with this is a friend. I don't know, there's another picture there of my friend, Aiden. He's the one that helped me build everything. He's like a brother to me. We call him Desi. His name's Aiden though, but he helped me build this. His brother-in-law was an electrician, and he said I could pay him by the week and pay it off like that. And so he did all the electricity.
Wow.
I installed the wooden floors and the ceiling. We installed all that. Just like we didn't even know what we were doing. We just got the instructions and just didn't even know the ceiling suspended. And so we just little by little. Those tables are from IKEA, right?
Yeah,
like,
baby.
IKEA. Just had to make this photo right here. The great thing about this, none of these guys are saved. These are all guys from the area that we do all nighters with. They would like, can we have it for all night? I'm like, yeah, I'll stay with you guys, and we would game. We would do D&D. That's my first D&D game was with them.
Dude.
The guy with the long hair there, you see in the first picture.
Yeah.
He was the GM. He was the game master, the dungeon master. He's the one that ran it, and that's my first D&D, and we just had a good time. It was a fellowship. And some of them would go out. They would smoke, so they would go out the back and smoke. They couldn't smoke in the shop, and it's just like just to be around people and just to be a testimony. That's all I wanted, because I really I know God has so much for them, like peace and strength, and I can't keep that to myself. And that's why I created the Lance Center, and the gaming, because I want people to know that there's a God in heaven who loves them, that has a plan for their life,
Dude, and that gets me so pumped. It gets me so pumped, AJ, because you mentioned like, hey, all these guys in this picture, like these people weren't Christian, didn't go to church, but we're sharing the love of Jesus with them through video games. And I love that. A lot of people don't know really the story of like, before I got into started streaming, before I even knew streaming existed, I was feeling in my heart like I want to connect with gamers. And I actually went on my Facebook page and I surveyed 100 gamers that I knew, whether it was through Facebook groups I'm in, people I went to high school with, 100 specifically non-Christian gamers. And I shared an idea, honestly, exactly like what we're seeing in your pictures, AJ. If there was a LAN center where people could come and get some coffee and play games together and hang out, but I put it from this perspective, but it was affiliated with a church. Like, would you be interested in coming to be a part of? And not a single person out of that 100-person survey. And I asked her, like, please be honest. Not a single person said no. I got all kinds of responses. Some of them were like, hey, man, this sounds super cool. I'll definitely check it out. Some of them are like, oh, absolutely. Like, that's fantastic. Some of them are like, I'm a little turned off by the whole church thing, but the Lens Center sounds pretty cool. So I did at least give it a chance one time. And I remember one person, a few people said this to me. I never forget it. This is the only way I would ever interact with a church in my life. And I just remember, dude, that hit me like a ton of bricks, man. And that's, AJ, that's exactly what like you did, bro. Like you like, he's already done it. Some of y'all hear me talking about this idea all the time, and it's like, you don't know that like AJ already, like he's already done it. Obviously a little bit different variables, but like he did it and he built it from nothing.
Yeah. Little by little.
Like when I see that picture, this one of just the empty shop, and I'm like, dude, you had vision. Like God gave you vision, and you put in the work to make it a reality. And I'm inspired by it, AJ. I'm so inspired. And I just hope that anyone is listening right now, this isn't even the point of this episode, but I just pray that God gives some of you vision on how you can just use things that you love and your passions. Most of us is going to be gaming, on how to just connect with people. And AJ, tell us a bit more about this as we continue on your story, because with this next picture I'm showing, this is not his LAN center. It looks like a LAN center for those who's in audio, but this is actually an event that AJ used to do. AJ, tell us about the events he used to run that would bring all these gamers in, these tournaments you'd run. I think they're so cool, man.
Yeah. So even this was actually the year I started the LAN Center. We had this event. We had ones before in our church.
Yeah.
Because there was a need. People were always asking for Call of Duty events in Ireland, and there was a thing called boards.ie. And I met two people on the boards. A guy named Kevin, and he's a great friend of mine. He's the one that helped me do this because he was connected to the COD community, and then another guy named Dara, and they were connected to the community. And so I said, like I have a space. We had the church building. I have a space to run a tournament. I need people that know the community. I wasn't really. I played COD, but I wasn't like in the community.
Sure.
So we ended up starting the church. We did the first one. It's called Dub LAN. The first one was called Dub, like LAN, LAN.
Yeah, that's cool.
Instead of Dublin, and like 300 people came. It was packed out. It was like, what?
Dang.
And one of the youths that I met there, it was a powerful story. You'll see, he'll come in the chat too. You'll see him in chat. He comes to your stream. His name's Spuddy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. His name's Dara. I don't want to. It's all right.
Dox him, dude. No.
But what happened was his mom used to come to church years ago when we were in a small little unit, meeting in a unit, and he came back to the church through one of the LAN events, through the first one that we ran. I didn't know it was him because he was only a little baby. And God brought him back. When his mom came to pick him up, right? Because he was like, she came to see what the event. And I was like, hey, Samantha, he was a little baby that had to come to church. It was crazy, but God gave us the ability to do these lands. And then this is one that we did at a hotel. It was sponsored by Monster. Monster Energy Drink sponsored it. They brought pallets of free Monster for everybody. All we had to do was put their logo on every monitor. We had to put I printed that blank check. I printed that was their backdrop, but we put all that camouflage up. Because they only started getting to esports back then. This was back in 2013, 2012. So they only started getting into esports, Monster. But now like every year they're like, we're gonna increase the budget. And all I would do is I just share my testimony there. Like I wouldn't force my faith on nobody. But I just share, there's a God in heaven who loves you guys. And people would ask me questions. Hey, I heard you're a pastor. And that's all I would do. I would just, share my testimony. But the events got bigger and bigger. More people came in on him. AOC sponsored all the monitors. Just God. It's like, just wild. Just God stepped in. Yeah.
Wild.
And that was one of the last ones I was able to do. And then I started really diving in because I didn't have that much time. Because those only those were like hard to run. Those were a lot of money. You had to rent the hotel. You like break even on those. And so it's really hard to even lose money on those. But yeah, God just made a way, and those events were really fun. That's where it all started at too, because I was like, how could I give value to the gaming community? In Ireland, they were crying out back then for competitive esports and stuff, and there was nothing. So I was like, man, Lord, let me use my gift to honor you,
dude. And I'm hearing this story, and I've heard most of these details prior, obviously, but many of you listening for the first time, and first of all, it gets me pumped. It gets me so excited. Then I can imagine many people wondering are like, hey, so you hear your story, born in America, go to Ireland, and you start what really seems like an awesome life. Successful business, using that business to offset costs of this great ministry that you're doing. I mean, fantastic. And then as we talk about this topic, we're like, when life doesn't go according to plan, now, AJ, you're back in the States. Like, how do we, like, where's the land center? Like, what happened? Like, walk us through a little bit of that journey. Like, what then brings you to abandon all of that? Like, what you probably was your dream come true. Yeah. Now back to where you're at that. When life doesn't go according to plan, like, how do you go from that to where you are now?
It wasn't an easy decision. My sister still lives in the town too. Like that town, we were like close to each other. She got a brand new house in that area, and I miss my sister so much. It wasn't easy. God began to put on our heart. What happened was 4 years back here where I'm at, there was a fire, and it really affected my grandparents. And both my grandparents actually just before the fires happened, they both had strokes. So my dad had to fly back, and he was coming back. And then even when the fires happened, we couldn't get a hold of my grandparents. They were over here, and we didn't know where they were at. They were safe or not. And my uncle is far, far away, my other uncle. So my dad said, look, I'm going to end up probably going back to the States because you need to take care of your grandparents. And then, I was like, I don't know yet, I have it good over here. I have this business, and the business was starting to, like, it was good income. And I had more clients up till the day, like the 3 days before I was still printing stuff. People were still wanting stuff printed, like 3 days, up till 3 days. And before I flew back. And even to this day, I get people calling me from Ireland and sending messages. Are you still printing this stuff? And some of them I still design for. It's a long story, but it was successful. But God began to put on my heart again, just like I guess He did with my father. And the funny thing is, we were around the same age as my dad when he moved to Ireland.
Oh, wow. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, and me and Donna and I, we only figured it out when we were like, man, you're this age when you went to Ireland. We were talking about it. It's crazy, but God began to put on my heart. I began to have dreams again about America and about coming back here. And I never had those dreams. Like I never, like, you know. And also for my grandparents, like, man, I spent 22 years away. We would see them. We'd come back for like a week, but really, like, that relationship with my grandparents,
Yeah,
it
you
was
just
like
weren't close
non-existent,
anymore.
you know?
Yeah.
Close anymore. And you know, and so God began to put on my heart, like, you know, maybe it's time for us to go back. And I always told Donna that when I got married, Donna told me, look, I'm marrying you, but understand, I will never move to America with you. That's what she told me. And the family too. You're never taking our
Clear
cousin to America.
expectations. I love it.
Yeah, they told me straight out. They told me straight out. And Donna's like, when you meet Donna, she's very patriotic. She loves her country. Her island. It's her island. She loves Ireland. And when I came to her, I said, look, God's put on my heart. Would you be down? I think God's calling us back to America. And that was a test, because if she would have said no, I was like, hey, maybe it wasn't God, you know?
Sure.
But when she said yes, I didn't need nothing else. I was like, oh my goodness, I know it's you, Lord. Because Donna, like, you got to understand, this was the deal when we got married. This was something she said to me. And like, it's like the only thing she said to me. I'll never move to America. And when she said yes, and I was like, okay, God is calling us back. And wow. I tell you, it was another big step of faith to sell everything, to sell the business, to sell the shop. Like, you put all that money into it, and to sell the printing business. It was, you know, I had a couple thousand, even coming back here. It was a step of faith, because I didn't know what it was going to look like, you know. A step of faith. Even when we got back, it's like, what? It's just a step of faith. God brought us. But I tell you right now, God provided every step. I have so many testimonies.
Come on.
I haven't got enough time in the podcast. So once just being obedient to God's word, being obedient to what He has for you.
Yeah.
Stepping into it and just walking in it, right? Like some people thought we were crazy. Even the guy because I had a big contract for children's hospitals and nursing homes. And I did all this. I did 100% of all this guy's printing for all the, you know, when I told him that I was moving back to America, he's like, what's wrong with you? Why would you want to bring your kids back to there? And sure. All the violence, and you know, the enemy tries to come and throw doubt in your mind. And why are you doing this? And like, look what you have over here. Look at the business. Like, you know, look, you know, and you know, it was the enemy comes right away. It comes at you and you start thinking, you know, but I knew, I said, this is what God has. And I'm doing it. Like, I got to be obedient to God. So I sold everything. And moved back. And even when we got here, it was a shock. Getting back, experiencing it one shock to another shock. You know, you moved across the country.
Yeah, right? Dude. I just did it like 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
I'm saying, like you prepare yourself for it, right? You know, like, but actually when you come here and realize, like, whoa, this is happening. I just moved my kids and my wife all the way back to America, all the way to America, where I needed to get their visas within 3 months, right? And like, wow, I you know, it's just like. Yeah, it was a lot, but I tell you, God, how this day, when he calls you, when you step into it, He provides every step of the way, way.
Dang.
And He just, there's so much I haven't got enough time on the podcast to tell you everything that He's done in these last it's going on 7 years, nearly 8 years, about 6 months, or no, it's 7 years now. It'll be 8 years next year. So yeah. I haven't got enough time in the podcast to tell you like, He's done so much.
That just means we got to bring you back for another episode, baby.
He just increased the faith. He's always working on our faith, always working on our hearts and building our faith. Always there's tests of faith, but like I tell you, once you trust the Lord and keep on going with Him, He gets you through it every single time. It's awesome to see what He can do. You know, He's not limited to any continent.
Come on.
He's the God of all things.
Let's go, man. And AJ, I have a massive amount of respect for you being willing to make that choice in obedience, because one thing I can relate to, AJ, is the joy of what feels like accomplishing what you've been dreaming and working towards. We talked about it last week in last week's episode. If you haven't, I want to go back and check out where I shared the story of when our church started opening up our own land center. And we had been working towards it for years, finally had it. Ours ended up getting shut down due to COVID, but that was what felt like this thing being taken away, doing an uncontrollable circumstance. But that wasn't your story. You actually chose, like, you gave yours up to be obedient to what you felt God was asking you to do. Was there any part of you, AJ, that was heartbroken? Was that a struggle for you? Or was it just like, whatever God wants, I'll just do. I'm not even emotional about it. Or was it like, this is like sacrifice for me?
No, it was. And and like even my sister, like me and my sister are close. We've been, real close. Like she's my only sister, and we're
Yeah.
close. And it's even hard to be away from her now. Like I miss her, but just even coming over here, I said the culture shock, and then you realize that you're out here. And then when I first got here too, that money that I sold the business for, once you start turning on utilities, start paying the rent, you got to buy a car. That money goes like it's like
It's
water,
gone,
like
bro.
awa. It's gone, like you know. And then even I
Where'd
didn't
it
have enough.
go?
I didn't even have enough money to put their visas through. I was like, when it came down to it, I was 2,400 short for their
Wow.
visas. And I was out weed whacking, like because even when I was out weed whacking and I was out there digging trenches and stuff, just doing whatever I could to get the money. I was like, did I make a mistake, Lord? Like, was it you, Lord? Was it you that told me to come back here? Did I mess up? Did I miss something? And even then, you're like, that doubt sets in. And I'll never forget, I was supposed to go out weed whacking that morning. I gotta get this 2,400. Instead, my dad, he's Assembly's God pastor.
Yeah.
He ended up great opportunity. That's how I even knew when we got back. A church, Assembly's God church here in this area, right around the corner, needed a pastor. And they asked my dad, can you take over this church here in Lake Isabella? We didn't even know about it until we got here. The lady's like, you're a pastor? We need a pastor. And so my dad would be able to Assemblies of God at our campus up in Bakersfield, and he was just the right fit for it. So that morning, every Thursday they do early morning prayer, and I'm like, I gotta go out here weed whacking. I gotta make this money. And the Lord's like, no, go to that prayer meeting. I'm like, Lord, like, do you understand? I need this money. Like, we're gonna get deported. We're gonna get deported. We're or they're gonna get deported. I'm an American citizen, but anyway, I would go to the prayer meeting, pray, like, nothing happens. I'm like cried out, Lord, help me. There's tears coming out. I'm crying because I don't want my family to get have to go back.
Absolutely, yeah.
I knew this was you, Lord. I knew this was you. I knew you called us over here, and like it's not always easy, right? You take that step, and it's like, man, like and God just building your faith. And I walked out. And I got in my car, and I forgot my phone, so I jumped out of the car, ran back into the church. And as I'm walking back in, there's a woman from the church there, and she hands me a piece of paper. And she's like, I don't know, God just told me to give this to you. And I grabbed the paper. I'm like, what is it? I open it up. It's a check for 2,400.
Bro, that's so nuts, dude.
The exact amount. And I'm like, what? Nobody's ever done that for me like that. I'm like, what? Lord.
Come on.
Lord. Like we could go try to, like, I could have went weed whacking, try to figure this all out myself, burning myself out there. Like, it's hard. That weed whacking is hard. Out in the 110-degree heat. Like, it's hard, like snakes, everything. I could have just burnt myself out when, like, God's like, I got it under control. You're gonna go kill yourself and do this. And God just had it under control. And I was like, man, Lord, don't let me ever doubt you again. Don't let me doubt. He can just do stuff like just you never, like, we try to figure out how you gonna work this out, God.
Yeah.
How's it all gonna work? And maybe if I do this or if I sell that, what can I sell? And God just already he has it sorted. He has it sorted. You gotta just trust him, be obedient to what he says, And that blew me away. That really blew me away.
He knew exactly what you needed.
Exactly, to the exact cent.
To the exact cent. And here's one of the reasons, AJ, I think why you and I are such great friends. And I really would encourage people to, let this statement just hopefully wrap around your mind and heart. I believe God rewards radical obedience. I believe that God rewards radical obedience. Sometimes we want to be a little in and out. We want to be, half and half. We want to be, I'll be a little obedient, but little obedience is full disobedience. Like God oftentimes will ask of us radical, sell the business, like sell the land center, move your entire family to another continent that your wife thought she would never want to go to, that you didn't even have the finance to be able to do. And he provided and he blessed the radical obedience. There is so much blessing, fruit, joy, peace on the other side of obedience. Now, I didn't say on the other side of obedience is always good and easy, but God is storing up for you, AJ, eternal rewards. And bro, as someone that does my best, I'm not perfect, to live radical obedience this way, bro, people think you and I are crazy, bro. Like, they just don't understand, like, this doesn't seem logical or easy. And again, I'm no way insinuating that Christians should just go out and make stupid decisions. Pray about it, fast, get some counseling. But I'm telling you, like Moses probably looked pretty stupid when he's running up with all these Israelites and the Egyptians are chasing him and they're all asking him, Moses, like, where do we go? And they're probably standing at the shore looking, do we go left or do we go right? And Moses is like, how about we go straight? You know, how about we just go through the water, dude? And like, it's like, that's not even an option, bro. And the Lord's like, if you trust me, I'll just make a way. I'll split that whole ocean right in half. I'll give you an option C you didn't think was possible. But even on the other side, you think like, oh, well, Moses crossed the Red Sea and then life was great. No. No, it wasn't. But today, Moses stands before God with an eternal reward. God rewards radical obedience. And I know even for you and I, man, like we get misunderstood. And I'm just out here like, hey, dude, we just obeying the Lord, man. Whatever that looks like financially, whatever it look like. You never lose when you obey God. Period. Doesn't mean it'll be easy. I can't, like AJ, I have so much respect. I'm like, the dude had the land center and just like gave it away. Because I almost had mine, dude. And if it wasn't for COVID, I'm holding on tight, And I'm like, dang, the radical obedience. And AJ, I want to honor it. I want to, because here's the deal. Some people might think it's crazy, but the Lord is pleased by the obedience. Like, pleased by it. Like, Scripture even says, like, obedience is better than sacrifice. Like, so many people want to live a sacrifice-filled life. Well, look how much I'm doing. Or look what I'm accomplishing. Or look at this. And look how hard I'm working. That's great that you're doing all these things. But is it even at what God asked of you? Obedience is better than sacrifice. And when I see your life, AJ, I'm like, man, like, this guy's just out here just being obedient to God, even if it's challenging for him and for his family. And especially when it goes against your own plans, man. So as we begin to kind of wind down episode 4 of this podcast, AJ, kind of bring us back to, here's a question I'm so inspired by you. In all of this, man, it wasn't part of your plan to even go to Ireland in the first place. Definitely was not you. Definitely was not Donna's plan to come to America. How have you, all these years later, AJ, how have you just continued to trust God even when life doesn't go according to plan?
Yeah, I got to remind myself of his faithfulness.
Yeah.
Of his goodness. It's like we look around and we compare ourselves to other people. I look around. I have my cousins. They're similar age as me. A lot of them are really successful. Like they have these nice big houses. They have a lot of these nice material things. I always go back to like that. It's nice to have those things. There's nothing wrong with having those things either, right? They're blessed. God blesses, but God gives and God takes away. Yep. But you got to be willing though when he says, hey, I'm calling you to give this up. I'm calling you to do this for me. That's all I always wanted to be. That's been my desire. Growing up, I always wanted to be a minister. I want to preach God's word. I want to get as many people names written in heaven as possible. If I could be that testimony. And even that, I really believe like if I didn't come back here, I probably wouldn't, because the time difference between your stream and everything. I watched your stream. I probably wouldn't have got so plugged in as I have.
Yeah.
I knew God had something for me in this ministry, and because He brought me here and He brought me to a time where I can take the time and really see like, man, what God's doing and what He was setting us up for, and like this is only the start of what God wants to do. We're walking in obedience. We just see what he does. I've seen Him do, like as I'm saying, I've seen Him even with us with our building in Ireland, and we put over $500,000 in that building, and it was $9,000 a month. And we didn't do it. I'm just this little Mexican Irish kid. My dad, ex gang member from the streets of LA. Just with an obedient life. Just say, God, like here I am. Just use me. And that's all we've ever done. Like we haven't got it all figured out. Even now, like He's got me printers. I got printers again. The Lord's done this. I go to the bank and they're like, no way, Jose. They're like, but God opened doors. I got this printer, I got 3D printer, I got laser cutter. This is nothing that AJ done. You look in this room, you think, oh, it's real nice. He must have a lot of money, or I all I have is everything I have is God's. and he's giving me all this stuff. It's all glory to him. I've just walked in it. I've walked in it. I've been obedient to him. I trusted him. I go to him. You know, that relationship with him, it's key. It's so key in our lives as Christians, as leveling up deeper with him. He's always calling us deeper. He's always working on our hearts, just deeper with him, and see what he can do with your life.
Yeah.
Just a life like they told me. I go back to a lot, but they really told me in school. It really affected me because I started thinking, man, I'm never gonna do anything. They told my mom, like, that kid's never gonna do anything. He has too many disabilities, learning disabilities. He's not gonna be much, you know. Like, I started listening to those lies, but then I started saying, no, what does God say about me? And just like David in that shepherd's field, when when you reject, that's why I relate a lot to David, because I was that little boy with my guitar, just playing my guitar all the time. My sister's in the chat today, and she'll testify to you, because she's like, shut up, stop playing that guitar. Constantly played, and we, we're siblings, so I used to get on her nerves.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
And that's all I did. I just got closer to God. I would just play. Can't even sing. You won't hear me sing, but my time with God, I sing. Right? I sing to Him, and I just spent time with Him, getting closer to Him, deeper, and that's kept me. That shepherd field experience, right? That obedience to God is better than sacrifice, which you said earlier.
Yeah,
it really is. Like, you see the life of David, the obedience, a man after God's own heart. And that's ever I always wanted to be. This material stuff's all going to fade away. It's not going to last. We can boast in all this accomplishments that we've done, but ultimately, what have we done with God? What we have done with His Word, with His Son? Have we been that testament? That's all I've ever wanted to be. I want the world to know there's a God in heaven who loves you. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. He wants to know you. You know, like, just don't miss out on the relationship with Him that you have every day. And as you walk in that, God begins to add stuff onto you. That's what I'm saying. Like, other stuff I don't deserve, He added onto me. And I want to build His kingdom with it. That's why I print for a lot of churches and a lot of ministries, because I want to use my gift to honor God.
Right,
Some of you are so gifted. You can talk better. You have better vocabulary than me. I stutter a lot. Probably, you have a gift that God's giving you. See in God's hands. See what He can do with it. It's unreal. I never thought that was possible. I never thought. God brought me all over the world. He brought me back here. He's done so much. He keeps on adding on to my family and to my life. And it's something that I've done. Nothing that I've done. Yeah,
man. And our church would say it this way: discover your purpose so you can make a difference.
Amen. Amen.
And AJ, we'll have to bring you back, brother, for another episode, because I think maybe we'll just have to do an episode where you and I just share testimonies, what we've seen God do, man. Because as we talk about the topic of trust, what I've heard from you so many times is just repeated stories of whether it's hardship or unexpected change of plans, and then God just does another thing of beauty in your life. It's been the same for me. Unexpected hardship. Sometimes it's my own bad decisions, and God has to clean up my mess. But it's just a repeated, continuous source of God doing what He does best. And for some of you that are listening right now, maybe that hasn't been your story, where maybe you have had your things go not according to plan. Maybe you've endured some hardship, and you're kind of wondering, like, how can I trust God when things don't go according to plan? And here would be my encouragement to you, is that trust is earned over time. And what I mean by that is, let me be very clear. God is already trustworthy. He's already trustworthy, but He understands that you're a human. Like, when I first met my wife, AJ, when you first met Donna, like, we didn't know them. Like, no, I was not about to give you my social security number. No, like, if Amanda, this pretty blonde who I didn't know, came up to me, was like, yo, can I get your debit card and go use it? I'd be like, heck no, lady, who the heck are you? But then years later, now obviously, like, we share a bank account, and she could walk out tomorrow and just spend all of our money and it'd be gone. Our life savings just down the drain. But I know she's not going to do that. Why? Because over the years, she's earned my trust. We've earned each other's trust. But here's the deal. Amanda was always that trustworthy. I just didn't know it yet. She didn't become more trustworthy. She was that same person from the moment I met her. I didn't know it. And many of you just don't know Him yet. Your plans are changing. You're afraid to take that step of faith. You're afraid to maybe do something radical like Pastor AJ is talking about, and you're afraid to do it because you just don't know if God's going to come through. Now, let me be very clear. Seek counsel. Make sure you're praying. Make sure that you know if you're going to make a decision, that it was God that called you to do it. But if you're already there and just afraid to take that step because you're like, dude, is God going to come through? Here's what I would say to you. Put Him to the test. Let Him prove to you what He already knows that you don't, that He's trustworthy. Because we got stories for days of us wondering, is this going to work? God, can you really do it? And then we just jumped and he was like, I got you. Watch me cook. And he just like made it happen. And for a lot of us, like your blessing is on the other side of that faith step. But you're wondering, is God trustworthy? All we are is two men who can tell you, after so many times, I've given up on wondering if he's trustworthy because he just keeps proving me wrong every single time. He just keeps proving me wrong. I'm like, God, can you really do this? He's like, bro, you haven't seen the beginning of what I'm able to do. And so we just challenge you. Two just ordinary men, not that smart. AJ, I also barely graduated high school. I graduated with a 1.7. Well, that's bad. That's not good. 1.7 GPA. And today, man, we're just thankful that we get to be part of men being used by God to make an impact in people's lives, but not because of what we can do, but because of what he can do through us.
Amen.
And he can do it through you. And when life doesn't go according to your plan, just keep trusting him anyway. Make sure you're making wise decisions and you're seeking counsel and you're taking time to pray. But just like the life of Pastor AJ, when life didn't go according to plan, God came through, because ultimately life might not go according to our plans, but if we're trusting and following him, it will go according to his. He will guide you, lead you, and direct you. And if you want to level up in your faith, if you want to be able to go from level 2 to level 3, it might be on the other side of you taking that leap of faith you've been afraid to take because you're wondering, can God do it? It's up to you to make the choice. But all I can tell you, you put him to the test, he'll show you he's able. He'll show you he's capable. I've seen it. AJ's seen it. We've seen it. I believe God is able to, the Bible says he's able to do exceedingly and abundantly more than we could ever ask or even think or imagine. And AJ, thank you for being a living example to our community, our friends, and our people of what it means like to radically obey Jesus and what it looks like, man, to just keep your chin up, keep your faith high when life doesn't go according to plan. And even today, AJ's like, man, you know what? I'm in a difficult season right now. Life's not going according to my plan in real time. But the Lord is making a way. The Lord is faithful. Amen. And the Lord is good. Pastor AJ, you're absolutely a Giga Chad next level legend. If you're watching on Twitch right now, spam the Godly Chad emote because that actually is AJ. He didn't just make the emote. It's actually him. He's a legend. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, be sure to follow twitch.tv/AJ Valdez. He streams on me, once in a while. But when he does, it's an exciting time. He plays World of Warcraft. Hit him up in the Discord. If you're part of XP Church, he's one of our pastors. He's a legend. We love him. We love him. AJ, thank you for being a guest on our episode today. Thank you for being a man of God that inspires others. Thank you for living a life worth following, brother. We appreciate you, man. We'll catch you in the next one. All right, AJ? Much love, brother. Well, friends, I got to say a massive thank you for checking out episode number 4 of the good old Level Up podcast. Again, weekly content devoted to helping gamers level up in their life, faith, and leadership. And if you haven't already, I encourage you on YouTube right now, let us know in the comments what was your biggest takeaway. Subscribe to the channel, but wherever podcast platform you're listening right now via audio, please do us a favor. Go ahead. If you're getting value, if these have been a blessing to you and you want to see the message get out to more people, why? So we can develop more leaders, because that's how we can multiply and make the biggest difference in the gaming community. Not through one streamer, not through one stream, but through a bunch of gamers learning to level up so we can live a life of influence and change the world around us. You can do that by simply liking, sharing, favoriting it, giving it a 5-star review, or maybe 4 if you feel those 4. Let us know how we can do better. Give us the feedback. But seriously, friends, check it out, support the content, and we'll let you guys know next week, same time, same place. Live streams Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then the podcast and the YouTube video go live on Thursday. You guys are amazing. We appreciate you. And remember, friends, if you want to be a leader who starts influencing the world today, you can start right now by simply being kind. It costs you nothing, but it'll change everything. I appreciate y'all. Catch you in the next one.